What's up guys, my name is Arden Shibley and today we're talking about dual operator control with the Inspire 2, definitely one of the selling points of the Inspire over Mavic and Phantom series drones. Apparently this one is still a little bit loose. If you're looking for some of the gripes that I have with the Inspire system, you can check out that video right there. So some people use the DJI Ascendance remote, some people use two of these classic ones. We definitely prefer the classic ones. It's not really worth paying $1,000 per remote and upgrading to the Ascendance just for a couple extra controls, and unfortunately those Ascendance remotes don't fit into the stock case as nicely as the originals do. Of course, having two operators on the drone instead of one reduces task loading and reduces the responsibility per crew member. In our situation, what that allows me to do is I can fly the drone, I can have my eyes on it at all time, watching the airspace, watching the safety, making sure that it doesn't hit anything really, while the camera operator can focus on the screen, they can focus on the shot and what's going on, they can focus on the car chase, they can make sure the angle or that the timing is just right, they can do those complicated things that I wouldn't have the attention span to focus on because I'm actually flying the Inspire. When using a dual operator setup with the Inspire 2, there's a button on the left-hand side that allows you to take camera control. If you're using the camera operator remote like the one here, the sticks will then start to control the camera. If you're using the pilot remote, then the system will behave just like a Phantom or a Mavic, where you have to use the scroll wheel to tilt and pan the camera. Now it's very important if you're working in a dual operator mode with the Inspire 2 to be clear about who's doing what. Typically this means who's starting or stopping the camera, or if you're working in photo mode, who's actually taking the pictures. Sometimes you're working with a non-camera inclined client, so you might choose to take over the exposure and cutting and rolling responsibility to make their job easier. Sometimes you're working with somebody who is an experienced camera operator but just doesn't know your system, and sometimes you're working with somebody who knows the system very well and can cut and roll and adjust exposure all on their own. All you have to do is pilot. Horizon control. This is something that plagues a lot of DJI systems. Sometimes you'll be shooting and you'll pan over to the side and your shot will absolutely go canted. You'll level your horizon to start and then you'll look over somewhere else and your shot will just be nearly sideways. It's ridiculous. Now adjusting this is usually much easier, I find, with the B remote, with the camera operator remote. So what we do is we map the right stick here to pan and tilt the camera, and we map the left stick to the actual roll. Now this allows you to roll it on demand, and it's much faster and easier than a stupid little menu that you can go into the camera settings and go adjust gimbal, and then you can adjust the roll and hit a stupid little button and it does this just a little bit. It's much easier to do it with the stick. But if you disable that in the menu for the Inspire 2, it tries to keep the horizon level and does an okay job. But if you want that fine adjustment and you actually want to be able to adjust it quickly and on the fly, you have to map that rotation adjustment to one of the sticks on the B remote. If you have a second remote, you also get a second video signal out in addition to the pilot's remote. If you have a standard remote, you'll get a HDMI signal, and if you have a Ascendance remote, you'll get SDI as well. SDI is used on movie sets and the like. There is one kind of neat accessory that is definitely better assigned to a camera operator separate from the pilot. It is the focus wheel. So what you'll do is you'll take this bracket, sold separately, and install it onto the B remote with a little clamp that comes with it here. We'll tighten that up. We'll go down to the back, running this wire outside of the antennas, just like the USB cable. They advise don't put that USB cable between them. And we'll plug that in. There we go. And then you will take the focus wheel and screw it into the side. One second here. So I've actually installed it on the wrong side here, but it does work fine. If you install it on the other side, you just have the on-off switch and the lens button, which changes from focus to zoom. They show up on the top as opposed to the bottom. This wheel has hard stops on it, and you can rotate the wheel to focus the camera, and it has a resistance adjustment on the outside. So that's a pretty nice, handy little accessory if you're doing a shot that might require a focus pull. Fortunately, for about $300, this accessory doesn't really get used as much as you would think. Most of the time when you're shooting with a drone, it's just the reality that you are focused to infinity and you don't need to pull focus. I would probably not recommend spending the money on this. Save it and maybe buy some more batteries or something. There are two reasons I can think of not to have a dual operator setup. First is having more equipment, so you'll need a second remote, you'll need a second display, whether it's a Crystal Sky, an iPad, or a tablet, and it's also more gear, more batteries, more weight, and you'll need a place to put that second remote and the second display when traveling. Also, there might be people that are not as experienced operating a camera with a joystick or just really not experienced with DJI systems at all. Sometimes somebody will say, sure, I can operate the camera. I say, that sounds good to me. It's not that hard. We'll get out and we'll start shooting, and actually they don't know how, when you're shooting with a drone, how that translates in the edit suite. When you're sitting at home watching that footage on a computer, it looks very different from when you're shooting it. There are a couple things like always ending off your shots smoothly that people might not think of, and those are things that I know from working with the system, but if they're new, their footage will suffer and your reputation could suffer as a result. So you need somebody, you always need a second person if you want to accomplish that, and it's really nice to have somebody who knows what they're doing, but you don't always have that luxury. So being able to do everything yourself is definitely a useful skill, but there are unfortunately places where you just can't get it done all by yourself. It's just too much going on, and maybe you could get it done, but it's risky. You might not be able to watch what you're doing, or you're cutting it close, or you could be what's called task loaded. There's just too many things to focus on, and something has got to give. So if you're looking to get a second remote for your Inspire 2, I recommend looking at the basic remotes, just like these, from somebody who has upgraded to a Sentence remote. They might have a spare one of these lying around as a result, and will probably sell it to you for a decent price. Like I said, if you have a dual operator setup, your pilot can focus on flying through the tight little hole or just skimming the top of some trees, and your camera operator can really stay focused on the shot and make sure you get the absolute best footage possible. Personally, I love being able to watch the aircraft at all times, focusing on the flying, focusing on tight clearances, focusing on the safety, and making sure that everything goes smoothly. When we finish a shot, I'll look over at my camera operator and say, how did it look? So that's basically it. Pop any questions about the dual operator setup for the Inspire 2 down in the comments. If you found this useful, feel free to hit like or subscribe. My name is Arden Shibley for Yellow House Aerial. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.